The mind never rests. It replays conversations long finished, imagines disasters that have not come, and builds worries out of shadows. Night falls, the world grows silent, yet the mind continues its endless debate, louder than any storm outside. There is a strange madness in this. The heart craves peace, but the thoughts refuse to obey. They chase the future, wrestle with the past, and forget the only moment ever truly owned, the present one. The mind can be a faithful servant or a cruel master. It was never meant to wander endlessly, but to see clearly, to choose wisely. The wise learn not to silence it, but to discipline it, to make it an ally instead of an enemy. The struggle is not against the world, but against the pictures the mind paints of it. Things happen. Reason adds its own colors, fear, pride, longing, and calls the result reality. A word, a glance, an outcome. None have the power to disturb the soul unless thought gives its consent. How strange that the mind, built for clarity, delights so often in its own confusion. It invents duties where none exist, condemns itself for things beyond its reach, and rushes to rule a future that has not yet drawn breath. Every time thought steps beyond what is within its command, it becomes a servant to chance. It grows anxious over reputation, fortune, and time itself, forces that answer to no one. Reason, untamed, is a tyrant. Left to wander, it builds prisons out of possibilities. It imagines 10,000 failures and suffers them all before one has come to pass. It seeks to rewrite the past, forgetting that the ink is dry. It waits for the world to move perfectly before daring to be still. The wise know the mind's proper task, to see things as they are, to choose the next right action, and to accept what follows. This is the discipline most avoid, because it demands humility, the admission that control is smaller than desire. Yet within that small circle lies freedom. Consider the sailor in storm. He cannot calm the sea nor command the wind, but he can hold the rudder steady. So too must thought hold fast when fortune roars. To curse the waves is folly. To steer despite them is virtue. Every judgment that clings to what is beyond reach feeds unrest. Every judgment that returns to what can be shaped, character, conduct, and the calm of the heart, restores order. Peace is not the silence of thought, but its obedience. When reason remembers its limits, life becomes lighter. Events remain what they are, brief, passing, indifferent. Only the opinion about them has the power to wound or to heal. Therefore, guard the inner citadel. Let no imagined fear breach its walls. Let no rumor of tomorrow disturb its gates. The enemy waits not outside. It speaks within, disguised as worry, whispering, "What if?" Silence it not with anger, but with understanding. Remind it, this is not mine to rule. And in that reminder, the storm begins to fade. When the mind stirs with noise, it must be trained, not through violence, but through guidance. A wild horse is not broken by shouting. It learns through direction. so too must reason learn the path of restraint. The practice begins at the moment of disturbance. A word offends, a plan fails, a fear rises. The instinct is to react. But between impulse and response lies a brief space, and within that space, freedom waits. To pause, there is the first discipline. To ask, is this within my control or not? If it is within control, act. If not, accept. Nothing more is required. Epictetus taught this division clearly. Some things are up to us, and some are not. It seems small, but this line separates peace from chaos. Most of life's suffering comes from stepping across it, from grasping what was never meant to be held. So when thought begins to wander toward the future, pull it back. The future belongs to the gods. When it lingers over the past, remind it that the past is ash, already burned. When it judges others, teach it that another's soul is not its territory. Again and again, the mind must return to its rightful ground, the present moment, and one's own reasoned choice within it. This is not indifference. It is the highest form of care, to guard energy only for what can be shaped. The Stoic learns to treat attention as the rarest currency, spent only on what yields virtue. To waste it on fear or fantasy is to live in poverty while holding wealth. Each morning begins with this reminder. Today, thoughts will seek to rule. They must be ruled instead. And so, when the day brings insult or misfortune, reason answers calmly. This was expected. It is part of the human condition. Let it be used as training. The one who practices daily soon discovers an inner rhythm, a way of thinking that no longer rushes or trembles. Like a soldier who no longer flinches at the clash of arms, the trained mind meets life with steadiness. The storms outside may rise and fall, but the helm remains steady. And the mind, once a restless sea, becomes a clear mirror, reflecting the world as it is, not as fear imagines it. Reason's training reaches its height not in knowing what to control, but in yielding gracefully to what cannot be controlled. This is the art most resist, the quiet power of acceptance. To many, acceptance appears as weakness, a surrender. Yet to the wise, it is the highest expression of strength, the strength to remain composed when the world refuses to obey. When fortune withholds what is desired, or delivers what is feared, the untrained mind cries injustice. But the universe makes no promises. It does not conspire for or against anyone. It moves as it must, governed by order too vast for comprehension. To quarrel with it is to argue with the tide. To align with it is to find peace in every wave. Acceptance is not the absence of effort. The Stoic still acts, still strives, still chooses virtue over ease. But action ends where control ends. Beyond that point, reason bows, saying, "This belongs to the gods." Each misfortune becomes a test. Will the soul resist what has already happened, or will it turn it into material for virtue? Anger, grief, fear, All arise from the refusal to accept necessity. Yet the one who accepts finds that even pain loses its edge. The blow may strike, but it cannot wound the inner citadel. To accept is not to stop caring, it is to care rightly. For what sense is there in wishing the sun to rise earlier, or the wind to change its course? The task is to meet the day as it is, not as desire imagines it. The mind that does this becomes untouchable, for it depends on nothing that can be taken away. In the end, all control returns to one place, within. Not over the world, not over others, but over judgment, choice, and the posture of the soul. When those are kept steady, everything else may fall away, and peace will remain. Acceptance is the Stoic's quiet victory, invisible to crowds but glorious to the spirit. It is the final act of mastery, to greet whatever comes with calm, saying, "If it is here, it is meant for me." So much turmoil is born not from hardship, but from excess. Too many wants, too many opinions, too many imagined needs. The mind that gathers everything soon finds itself crushed beneath its own possessions. Simplicity is not poverty. It is wealth of a rarer kind, freedom from what does not serve the soul. To eat simply, to dress modestly, to speak honestly, to expect little. These are not losses, but victories. Each renounced luxury is a chain removed. Each quiet choice is a declaration of independence from the world's noise. The mind grows clear when it stops chasing what does not matter. Most overthink because they overvalue. Every opinion, every glance, every minor loss becomes a storm. But when the standard of value is virtue alone, the winds cannot move it. To live simply is not to withdraw, but to walk lightly, to use things without being used by them, to own thoughts without being owned by them, to let go of everything that clutters the path between reason and peace. Simplicity is discipline in disguise. It is choosing clarity over comfort, essence over excess, being over appearing. The world teaches accumulation. Philosophy teaches subtraction. And when nothing unnecessary remains, the mind finally rests, not empty, but whole. All the teachings return to one simple command: rule the self. Not the empire, not the crowd, not the hour that has already passed, but the single thought rising now. Every virtue, every peace, every strength begins here. The mind, once trained, becomes like a calm sea at dawn. It reflects everything, distorts nothing. Pleasure and pain touch its surface, but do not sink. Praise drifts by, blame drifts by, and beneath them both remains stillness. This is freedom, not to have all things go well, but to remain well when they do not. To greet each moment as a messenger, not a master. To say to fortune, "Do what you must, the soul is ready." The body will tire, wealth will fade, friends will come and go, the name will be forgotten. But reason rightly used leaves a trace no age can erase. It builds an inner empire that cannot fall to time or tyrant. Let the world speak. Let the mind observe. Let the soul choose calmly. For peace is not found by chasing quiet, but by carrying it within. And so, when thought begins again to wander, remind it gently. The cure for overthinking was never silence. It was mastery, to see clearly, to act justly, to accept fully. That is enough.